Good morning, and welcome back to America's Leaders from Coast to Coast, the 250th anniversary edition. Today is day 71 of the year, Thursday, March 12th, 2026. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Leah.
We are heading down to the Bluegrass State today, the great state of Kentucky, the home of the Kentucky Derby, massive auto manufacturing plants, and 95% of the world's bourbon supply. And today, we are profiling the junior senator from the state. He is famous for his marathon filibusters, his extreme fiscal conservatism, and his deep libertarian streak. We are talking about Republican Rand Paul.
Stephen, Senator Paul's entire political identity is built on being the ultimate contrarian in Washington. He is the son of former presidential candidate and libertarian icon Ron Paul. Rand went to medical school at Duke, became an ophthalmologist, and spent years doing pro bono eye surgeries in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He wasn't a career politician. He ran for the Senate in 2010 during the height of the Tea Party wave, and he literally crushed the Republican establishment's hand-picked candidate to win the primary. He went to Washington specifically to dismantle the federal government's massive bureaucracy.
And he has been an absolute thorn in the side of leadership, both Democrats and Republicans, ever since. If there is a massive multi-trillion-dollar spending bill, Rand Paul is going to vote against it. If there is a bill to expand the surveillance powers of the FBI or the NSA, he will stand on the Senate floor for 13 hours and filibuster it. But in the 119th Congress, covering 2025 and 2026, he isn't just an outsider anymore. Because the Republicans took the Senate, Rand Paul is now the chairman of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee.
And that is an incredibly powerful gavel. That committee is the chief oversight body in the Senate. Chairman Paul is currently using that position to run high-profile investigations into immigration enforcement and government waste. In fact, he is right at the center of the breaking news regarding the Trump administration's cabinet. Last week, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem left her post. President Trump immediately nominated Markwayne Mullin to replace her. And just 2 days ago, Chairman Paul officially fast-tracked the process, scheduling Mullin's confirmation hearing for next Wednesday, March 18th. He is directly overseeing the transition of power at Homeland Security.
But while he is handling that massive confirmation, his primary domestic focus is slashing the national debt. Chairman Paul releases an annual document called the Festivus Report, where he highlights the most absurd examples of government waste, like funding studies on ferrets binge-drinking alcohol or dogs on cocaine. And because he is so obsessed with cutting waste, he has become a massive proponent of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
But Stephen, he is taking a very different approach to DOGE than the rest of his party. A lot of people in Washington are just blindly cheering for DOGE's estimates. Rand Paul is a constitutionalist. He pointed out that the executive branch cannot legally just refuse to spend the money that Congress already appropriated. So right now, in early March 2026, Paul is demanding that Congress use a process called quote 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 ESSA. He wants to bundle together hundreds of billions of dollars of DOGE cuts into a single bill, bring it to the Senate floor, bypass the filibuster, and force every single senator to vote yes or no on making those cuts legally binding.
He wants everyone on the record. He doesn't want press releases, he wants actual laws. And he is pushing back against the government just as hard when it comes to civil liberties. He recently introduced the Safeguarding Personal Information Act. This bill would completely repeal the Real ID mandate. Paul argues that Real ID is basically a national tracking card that forces citizens to surrender their privacy just to board a domestic flight. He wants it completely scrapped to protect the First and Fourth Amendments.
And we also have to talk about his foreign policy, because this is where he frequently clashes with the hawkish wing of the Republican Party. Rand Paul is a strict anti-interventionist, and right now, the U.S. military is engaging in strikes against Iranian targets. Last week, Paul stood up and heavily backed a war powers resolution. He is actively trying to legally force the withdrawal of U.S. troops from unauthorized hostilities, arguing that only Congress has the constitutional authority to declare war.
He is totally unafraid to stand alone on an island if it means defending the Constitution. He is fiercely independent, deeply ideological, and with his chairman's gavel, he is more powerful now than he has ever been.
The eye doctor from Bowling Green, who fights the surveillance state.
The chairman demanding official votes on the DOGE cuts.
That is Senator Rand Paul.
That is our profile for the state of Kentucky. Stay tuned for our next profile. Please note, AI assists in the creation of this podcast from pointedwords.com. And remember, better pointed words than pointed swords.